There's a reason humans can't fight in galactic wars. Now they understand Part 1. The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. By afternoon, news channels worldwide showed nothing else. People gathered in homes, bars, and public squares, eyes fixed on screens as humanity collectively held its breath. In her apartment in Washington, D.C., Lieutenant Commander Allison Grant watched the broadcast with narrowed eyes. At 34, she had spent 15 years in the Navy, becoming one of their top pilots. The call came just as the president prepared to address the nation. "Lieutenant Commander Grant," said Admiral Wallace through the secure line. "Report to the Pentagon immediately. Your security clearance has been upgraded." 3 hours later, Allison sat in a briefing room with 20 other military personnel from different countries. Admiral Wallace entered with a group of government officials. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "in 1 hour, representatives from what they call the Galactic Confederation will land at Andrews Air Force Base. Each of you has been selected as military liaisons. You will observe and report directly to this office." The alien delegation landed precisely on schedule. Their ship, smaller than the one in orbit, glided down without a sound. Allison stood at attention beside other officers as the craft's door opened with a soft hiss. The being that emerged first stood nearly 7 feet tall. Its body resembled a combination of crystal and light, with surfaces that reflected and refracted the afternoon sun. Behind it came 6 other aliens, each different from the others. One moved like water in roughly humanoid form. Another appeared, to be made of overlapping plates of some dark metal. "I am Zixthul," the crystalline being said in perfect English, "lead ambassador of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and friendship." The next week passed in a blur of diplomatic meetings. Allison attended as military representative, watching as the aliens presented incredible technologies and spoke of 17 different species living together in harmony across thousands of star systems. On the 8th day, the aliens presented the Confederation Charter for Earth to join. "This is a historic moment," said the Secretary General of the United Nations, "the beginning of Earth's membership in the galactic community." Allison read through her copy of the charter, stopping at Article 7. She read it twice to be sure. "Excuse me," she said, breaking protocol. "Article 7 states that humans are prohibited from participating in any military action beyond our solar system. Is this correct?" Zixthul turned toward her. The alien had no visible eyes, but Allison felt its attention. "That is correct," it said. "May I ask why? Every other restriction has a clear explanation, but this one doesn't." The room grew quiet. The alien's crystalline surface flickered with blue light. "There are reasons beyond your understanding at this time," Zixthul said. "This requirement is non-negotiable." Later, in a smaller meeting with military leaders, Allison found herself unable to stay quiet. "They're treating us like children," she said, "or like we're dangerous but weak. I don't like it." Admiral Wallace sighed. "I understand your frustration, Grant, but the technology they're offering will advance us by centuries. Medical treatments, clean energy, faster than light travel. The president and other world leaders believe the benefits outweigh the concerns. So we just accept being second-class citizens of the galaxy? We accept being newest members with the most to learn," the Admiral corrected. "For now." Meanwhile, at the newly established Confederation Embassy in Geneva, Dr. Keith Donovan adjusted his equipment. At 36, the exobiologist had spent his career studying theoretical alien biology. Now, he had actual aliens to study, with their permission. "Thank you for participating," he told the willowy plant-like alien named Irene. "These baseline readings will help us understand how to provide proper medical care if needed." Keith had noticed something odd during his sessions. Whenever military personnel entered the lab, the alien visitors showed physiological responses similar to stress or fear. At first he thought it might be the uniforms or weapons, but it happened even with unarmed officers in civilian clothes. Today he had a theory to test. "Irene, I'd like to show you some images and record your responses," he said, bringing up pictures on a screen. Just standard procedure. The images began with landscapes, then humans in various occupations. Irian's readings stayed normal. Then Keith showed an image of human athletes competing, then soldiers training. The readings spiked dramatically. "Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Keith asked. "It is difficult to explain," Irian said. "There is something about humans in competition or conflict that creates discomfort." Keith made notes. "And this happens with all humans?" "To varying degrees. Your species has a unique emanation, most pronounced during what you call adrenaline response." Later that evening, Keith sent his findings to his supervisor, Dr. Eliza Morgan. Her response was quick and dismissive. "Interesting observations, but the diplomatic team has asked us to focus on biological compatibility issues for medical and environmental purposes. Let's table this line of inquiry for now." Keith frowned at the message. Something important was being overlooked. 2 months after first contact, Earth's governments prepared to sign the Confederation Charter. Allison attended the ceremony in New York, watching with mixed feelings as human leaders formalized humanity's junior status in the galactic community. After the ceremony, she found herself face to face with Zix Thule at the reception. "You disapprove," the alien said. "Not a question." "I believe in earning respect," Allison replied. "If humans aren't allowed to serve alongside other species, how will we ever prove ourselves?" "Respect is not the issue," Zix Thule said. "There are complexities you cannot yet grasp." "Then help me grasp them. We're not children." The alien's surface rippled with colors. "No, you are not children. That is precisely the concern." Before Allison could respond, the alien moved away to speak with the Chinese premier. That night, Allison received new orders. With the treaty signed, her role as military liaison was being reduced. She was being offered a position as a security consultant on civilian vessels working with alien technology. Not a demotion, but a sideways move at best. She looked out her hotel window at the New York skyline. Somewhere up there, beyond the clouds, alien ships moved in Earth orbit. A new era had begun, but it felt wrong somehow. As if humanity had gained the stars but lost something important in the process. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Lieutenant Commander Grant, my name is Dr. Keith Donovan. I've discovered something about our new alien friends that you should know, something that might explain Article 7. Allison stared at the message for a long moment, then typed a reply. "I'm listening. There's a reason humans can't fight in galactic wars. Now they understand part." 3 years passed since first contact. The solar system changed in ways no one could have imagined. Human ships, now fitted with alien technology, traveled between Earth, Mars, and Europa in days instead of months. Disease rates dropped as Confederation medical knowledge spread worldwide. For most people, life improved dramatically. Allison Grant stood on the observation deck of the civilian research vessel, Horizon Seeker, watching Earth shrink in the distance. After her meeting with Dr. Keith Donovan 3 years ago, they had formed an unlikely partnership, sharing information and theories about the strange restriction on human military involvement beyond the solar system. Their findings remained inconclusive, but both felt certain that humans were being kept away from galactic conflicts for reasons beyond what the Confederation admitted. Now, after years of pushing for a position that would take her to the edge of allowed human territory, Allison had succeeded. "Lieutenant Commander," called a voice from behind her. "Just Allison now," she corrected, turning to face Captain Ramirez. "I'm a civilian security consultant, remember?" Ramirez smiled. "Old habits. We'll reach the Joint Research Outpost in about 40 hours. Dr. Donovan sent a message that he's eager to show you his latest research." The outpost orbited Pluto, the furthest permanent human settlement and home to the largest joint human-alien scientific facility. Keith had been stationed there for 6 months, continuing his study of alien physiology with a special focus on their reactions to humans. 2 days later, as the Horizon Seeker approached the outpost, Alarms blared throughout the ship. "All personnel, to emergency stations," announced the captain over the intercom. "This is not a drill." Allison rushed to the bridge. Through the main viewport, she could see the outpost. Several ships surrounded it, their designs unfamiliar. "What's happening?" she asked. Captain Ramirez looked grim. "We received a distress call from the outpost. They're under attack by something called the Vex. The Confederation ships that were stationed here have retreated to the outer defense perimeter." "The Vex? A rebel faction from what I understand. They've taken control of the outpost." Allison felt cold fear grip her stomach. Keith is on that outpost. For the next 12 hours, the Horizon Seeker maintained position at a safe distance, observing, as Confederation ships exchanged fire with the attackers. Despite superior numbers and technology, the Confederation forces seemed unable to break through the Vex defensive line. A request for communication came through to the ship. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to a blue-skinned alien, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "I am Admiral Peltor of the Confederation Defense Force," the alien said. "With whom am I speaking?" "Captain Elena Ramirez of the Earth research vessel Horizon Seeker." "Captain, we have a situation that requires consultation." The alien seemed uncomfortable. "Are there military personnel aboard your vessel?" Ramirez glanced at Allison, who stepped forward. "Allison Grant, security consultant, former Lieutenant Commander, Earth Navy." Admiral Peltor's upper eyes blinked rapidly. "The outpost has been seized by Vex forces led by General Urukal. They are holding all personnel hostage, including 23 humans." "What do you want from us?" Allison asked. "We request advisory assistance. The Confederation forces are experiencing difficulties with the Vex defensive systems." Allison understood what wasn't being said. The Admiral was carefully avoiding asking for military help, which would violate Article 7. "We would be happy to consult," she said. "Permission to come aboard your command ship?" Hours later, Allison stood in a conference room with Admiral Peltor and his officers. They showed her tactical displays of the outpost and the Vex positions. "Their defense grid is exceptionally well placed," Peltor admitted. "Our forces have been unable to establish a foothold." Allison studied the displays. "I'm just a consultant, but if I were planning an operation, I'd suggest a small team entering through these maintenance tunnels here." The alien officers exchanged looks. One of them leaned toward Peltor and whispered something. The Admiral's skin darkened slightly. "Such a plan would require direct involvement," he said. "Article 7 prohibits human military action beyond your solar system." "This is still technically our solar system," Allison pointed out. "And I'm not military anymore, just offering advice." Before the Admiral could respond, a message came through. A human face appeared on the screen. Keith Donovan, looking exhausted but alive. "Allison, they're letting me send one message. The Vex have control of the outpost, but they seem more interested in the research than hurting anyone." "Are you okay?" she asked urgently. "Yes, but listen, I've confirmed my theories. I have data proving why humans are banned from galactic conflicts. It's not what we thought. We're not considered weak, Allison. It's the opposite. There's something about humans in combat situations that..." The transmission cut off. Allison turned to Admiral Peltor. "I need to get on that outpost." "Impossible," the Admiral said. "Even if Article 7 doesn't technically apply here, I cannot authorize humans to engage in combat." "Then don't authorize it," Allison replied. "I'm going to find my friend. If I happen to help you retake the outpost in the process, consider it a fortunate coincidence." Allison returned to the Horizon Seeker and quickly assembled a volunteer team. Frank Miller, a former Marine sergeant working as ship security, Olivia Carter, the communications specialist, and Sam Patterson, the chief engineer. "This isn't an official mission," she told them in the ship's cargo bay. "It's a rescue operation for Dr. Donovan and the other humans on that outpost. It might also help the Confederation forces, but officially we're just concerned citizens." "Rescuing our people sounds official enough for me," Frank said, checking the stun baton he had brought. "Not a military weapon, but effective enough." Sam had modified some maintenance tools that could double as weapons in an emergency. "These are just for self-defense," he said with a wink. totally non-military. Using a small transport shuttle, they approached the outpost from a maintenance dock that the Vex seemed to be ignoring. Olivia managed to crack the entry codes, and they slipped inside. The corridors were dimly lit with emergency lighting. They moved quietly, following Allison's memorized map toward the central research lab where Keith most likely would be. They encountered their first Vex patrol at a junction, 3 tall insectoid aliens carrying energy weapons. Allison signaled the team to hide, but it was too late. They'd been spotted. "Ready yourselves," Frank whispered, raising his stun baton. The Vex soldiers raised their weapons, clicking mandibles communicating with each other. Allison stepped forward, hands raised. "We're unarmed researchers," she lied. "Looking for our colleagues." The lead Vex stepped forward, weapon trained on her. Then something unexpected happened. The alien's compound eyes widened, and it took a step back. Its antennae trembled visibly. The other 2 Vex also began backing away, their weapons shaking in their hands. Without warning, all 3 aliens turned and fled down the corridor. "What just happened?" Sam asked, bewildered. Allison stared after the retreating aliens. "I don't know, but I think we just got a clue about what Keith was trying to tell us." Frank grinned. "Whatever it was, they sure didn't want to fight us. Let's keep moving before they bring reinforcements." They continued deeper into the outpost, toward whatever truth awaited them at its center. There's a reason humans can't fight in galactic wars. Now they understand part. 3 Allison led her team deeper into the outpost. They moved quickly through the dimly lit corridors, puzzled by the reaction of the Vex soldiers who had fled from them minutes earlier. "I don't get it," Sam whispered as they paused at an intersection. "They had weapons. We had maintenance tools. Why did they run?" "Maybe they thought we were carrying some disease," Olivia suggested. Frank shook his head. "No. Did you see their eyes? That was fear. Pure and simple." They reached the central research section of the outpost. Through a small window in a door, Allison could see Keith Donovan and several other scientists. They were working under the watch of 2 Vex guards. "We need a distraction," Allison said. Frank grinned. "Leave that to me." He took a small device from Sam and walked confidently down a side corridor. Moments later, alarms sounded from that direction. The Vex guards looked up, mandibles clicking rapidly. One stayed with the prisoners while the other moved toward the source of the alarm. When it came close to their hiding spot, Allison and Sam jumped out. The alien froze. Its compound eyes widened and its antennae began to tremble, just like the previous Vex soldiers. This time, Allison watched more carefully. The alien seemed paralyzed by fear, despite its superior strength and weapon. Sam moved forward with his modified tool. The alien dropped its weapon and backed away, trembling violently. Without striking a blow, they had neutralized the guard. They quickly entered the lab. The second guard turned, weapon raised, but had the same reaction upon seeing them. Keith looked up from his workstation, relief washing over his face. "Allison, I knew you'd come." "Time to go," she said, helping him gather data tablets. Not yet," Keith replied. "You need to see this first. It explains everything." Keith activated a large screen on the wall. It showed a series of brain scans and biological readings. "The Confederation has been studying humans for decades, long before official first contact. They discovered something unique about us." He pointed to one set of readings. "This is the brain activity of various alien species, normal patterns. Now look what happens when they're exposed to humans in a combat situation." The patterns changed dramatically, showing intense activity in areas associated with fear and panic. "Humans emit a specific psychic field," Keith explained. "It's normally very faint, but it intensifies dramatically when our fight-or-flight response activates. This field triggers primal fear responses in all other known sentient species." Allison stared at the data. "Are you saying we scare them? That's why we're banned from their wars." "It's more than that. To them, a human in battle is like a walking psychological weapon. The effect gets stronger with adrenaline and combat focus. In a real battle situation, humans would cause widespread panic among alien troops, even among allies. Frank looked at his hands. So we're too scary to fight alongside them? That's actually kind of awesome. The Confederation calls it battle resonance, Keith continued. They detected it decades ago and postponed official contact until it became impossible to avoid us any longer. Article 7 wasn't created to oppress humanity. It was created to prevent psychological trauma to their own forces. Olivia frowned. If we're so terrifying, why aren't all these aliens afraid of us all the time? The effect is minimal in peaceful situations, Keith explained. It only becomes overwhelming in combat or high-stress scenarios. The more aggressive the humans' stance, the stronger the effect. A loud explosion rocked the outpost. Alarms blared throughout the facility. That wasn't me, Frank said. Olivia checked a nearby console. The Confederation forces are attempting to retake the outpost. They've breached the outer defenses. We need to move, Allison said. Get all the other humans and head for the emergency shuttles. As they prepared to leave, the main door to the lab slid open. A large Vex stood there, different from the others. Its exoskeleton was darker, marked with red symbols. Unlike the other Vex, it showed no fear. Humans, it said in a grating voice. I am General Urukal. You will not leave this place. Frank stepped forward aggressively, the Vex guards behind. Urukal trembled and backed away, but the general remained unmoved. Interesting, Urukal said. My neural dampeners work as planned. Your psychic attack has no effect on me. It's not an attack, Keith said. It's an involuntary response. Whatever it is, I have found a way to counter it. The general raised a weapon. The Confederation has kept your species' power secret for too long. Now the Vex will use it for our advantage. Before he could fire, the wall behind him exploded inward. Confederation troops poured through the breach, led by Admiral Peltor. The Vex soldiers scattered in panic, but Urukal stood his ground, firing at the new arrivals. In the chaos, Allison pulled Keith toward a side exit. We need to get everyone out. They gathered the human scientists and staff, guiding them toward the emergency shuttles. As they moved through the corridors, they encountered more Vex soldiers. Each time, the aliens retreated without fighting, overcome by the presence of multiple humans in a high-stress situation. They reached the shuttle bay to find it guarded by a squad of Vex. Frank moved to the front of the group, deliberately projecting an aggressive stance. The effect was immediate. The Vex guards dropped their weapons and backed away, some curling into defensive positions. So that's what Keith meant, Allison whispered. The more aggressive we appear, the stronger the effect. They boarded the shuttles and launched from the outpost. From the viewport, Allison could see Confederation ships surrounding the facility. The battle appeared to be over. Admiral Peltor's voice came over the communication system. Human vessels, please dock with the main Confederation cruiser. Hours later, Allison, Keith, Frank, Olivia, and Sam sat in a conference room aboard the Confederation flagship. Admiral Peltor entered with several other high-ranking aliens of different species. You have violated the spirit, if not the letter, of Article 7, the Admiral said. His tone was serious, but there was something else in his voice. Respect, perhaps. We were rescuing our people, Allison replied. And now we know why the article exists in the first place. Peltor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Yes. You have discovered the truth we have kept hidden. Not for our benefit, but for galactic stability. The battle resonance, Keith said. Indeed. Humans are not banned from warfare because you are weak, but because you are too powerful in ways you never understood. Until now. One of the other aliens stepped forward, a tall, willowy being with translucent skin. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? There's a reason humans can't fight in galactic wars. Now they understand. Part 4 silence filled the conference room aboard the Confederation flagship. Allison looked at the aliens watching her team, their expressions unreadable to human eyes. The revelation about battle resonance had changed everything. So what happens now? She finally asked. Now that we know the truth, Admiral Peltor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. That depends on humanity's response to this knowledge. Some species might use such an advantage to dominate others. That's not who we are, Keith said quickly. Isn't it? Asked a reptilian alien, standing behind the Admiral. Your history suggests otherwise. Frank crossed his arms. If you've studied us so closely, you know we're not all the same. Like any species, we have those who want power and those who want peace. Before anyone could respond, a junior officer burst into the room. Admiral, the Vex are launching a counterattack. General Urukal has regrouped his forces. The ship shuddered as something struck its shields. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Return to battle stations, Peltor ordered. He turned to the humans. This discussion will have to wait. Please remain here. The aliens filed out quickly, leaving Allison's team alone. We're not staying here, Allison said once the door closed. Not when we might be able to help. But Article 7, Olivia reminded her, technically only applies to wars beyond our solar system, Keith pointed out. We're still in Sol system. They left the conference room, following the sounds of urgent activity. The ship's command center was chaotic as officers reported from various stations. Their neural dampeners are working, reported one officer. Our troops near the Vex soldiers are experiencing minimal fear response. They've adapted quickly, Peltor said grimly. And we have no counter-strategy ready. Allison stepped forward. Admiral, let us help. All eyes turned to her. Peltor seemed torn between necessity and protocol. You know what we can do now, she continued. Let us use it. The treaty can be interpreted flexibly in an emergency, she finished. We're not asking to fight your galactic wars. Just this one battle here in our home system. After a long moment, Peltor nodded. What do you propose? Allison looked at her team. We can't fight directly without causing problems for your forces too. But what if we serve as advisors, positioned strategically where our presence will affect only the enemy? An interesting approach, Peltor admitted. But General Urukal's neural dampeners only work for those wearing them, Keith interrupted. And from what I saw, that's just Urukal and his commanders. The regular troops don't have them. Sam, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What if we could amplify our effect? Make it stronger, more directed. Everyone looked at him. The battle resonance is essentially a psychic field, right? He continued. Fields can be manipulated with the right equipment. I might be able to modify some communication devices to focus our output. Keith looked thoughtful. It could work, but there's something else to consider. He turned to Admiral Peltor. The Vex aren't acting alone, are they? This isn't just a rebellion. The Admiral's skin darkened slightly, the equivalent of a human paling. How did you know? The neural dampening technology is too advanced for a splinter group to develop so quickly. Someone helped them. Peltor sighed. You are correct. We believe the Vex are being supported by the Nephilim, an 18th species that the Confederation exiled centuries ago for their aggressive expansion and subjugation of other races. And the Nephilim are immune to battle resonance? Allison asked. Their evolution took a different path. Their brains don't process fear the same way as other species. That's what made them so dangerous. Olivia, who had been monitoring communications, looked up from a console. I'm detecting unusual transmission patterns between the Vex ships. Several are using an encryption method that doesn't match the others. That would be the Nephilim commanders, Peltor confirmed. They stay hidden, using the Vex as their public face. Frank cracked his knuckles. So we need a two-part plan. Deal with the Vex troops and find a way to handle these Nephilim who aren't affected by us. Allison nodded. Admiral, with your permission, we'd like to form a small advisory team. Sam will work on amplifying our battle resonance for use against the Vex forces. Meanwhile, Olivia can track those communications to locate the Nephilim commanders. Peltor seemed to struggle with the decision. This goes against centuries of protocol, but these are unusual circumstances. He straightened, his posture. Very well. You will operate under Confederation command, in an advisory capacity only. The next few hours passed in frantic activity. Sam worked with Confederation engineers to modify communication devices into what he called resonance amplifiers. Keith provided the scientific background, explaining how the human psychic field operated. The effect isn't just about causing fear, he explained as they worked. It's about disrupting an opponent's ability to function in combat. Humans evolved as pack hunters who used psychological warfare against both prey and rival groups. Olivia traced the Nephilim communications, identifying 5 Vex ships that appeared to have Nephilim commanders aboard. They're coordinating the attack from these vessels, she reported. As they prepared, Frank approached Allison with a concern. There's something Keith isn't telling us about this battle resonance. What do you mean? I've been watching him. Every time we talk about amplifying the effect, he gets this worried look. Allison found Keith in a small laboratory running simulations on a Confederation computer. What aren't you telling us? She asked without preamble. Keith looked up, startled. What do you mean? About the battle resonance. There's more to it, isn't there? He sighed and shut down his simulation. The effect works both ways, Allison. When we trigger fear in others, something happens to us too. A feedback loop. The more fear we cause, the more aggressive we become. That doesn't sound so bad in a fight. It's not just aggression, it's a kind of battle joy. The Confederation records call it war ecstasy. In ancient human cultures, it had many names: berserker rage, battle frenzy, bloodlust. Allison felt cold. You're saying that if we amplify our effect on the aliens, we might amplify the effect on ourselves too, push ourselves towards something primal and dangerous that humans have spent centuries trying to control. Before she could respond, the ship rocked with another impact. The intercom blared, all advisory personnel to battle stations. The Vex fleet is advancing on the outpost again. Keith gripped her arm. Be careful, Allison. Remember what we're fighting for. She nodded and headed for the command center, his warning echoing in her mind. There's a reason humans can't fight in galactic wars. Now they understand. Part 5. Allison stood in the command center of the Confederation flagship. On the main display, she could see the Vex fleet surrounding the outpost. Sam had finished the resonance amplifiers, small devices that looked like communication headsets. Each human on Allison's team now wore one. Remember, Sam said, adjusting his own amplifier, these will make our battle resonance effect stronger and more focused. But Keith says we need to be careful about the feedback. Admiral Peltor approached them. We have positioned Confederation forces to reclaim the outpost. Your team will be stationed at key strategic points. Remember, you are advisors only, not combatants. Frank grinned. Don't worry, Admiral. Just putting us in the right spots will be enough to give your troops an edge. They boarded small transport vessels and headed for the outpost. Allison's team was split up, each member going to a different section with a squad of Confederation soldiers. Allison found herself with a group of blue-skinned warriors near the outpost's main entrance. Their commander, a female named Turlak, kept a respectful distance. We appreciate your assistance, Turlak said formally. Though it is uncomfortable. I understand, Allison replied. I'll try to direct the effect toward the enemy as much as possible. The attack began moments later. Vex soldiers poured out of the outpost entrances, firing energy weapons at the Confederation forces. Allison activated her resonance amplifier and focused her thoughts on protection, not aggression, but a determination to defend those around her. The effect was immediate. The nearby Vex troops faltered, their movements becoming erratic. Several dropped their weapons and retreated. Others froze in place, overcome with terror. Through her communication link, Allison heard similar reports from other positions. Wherever a human stood with their amplifier active, Vex forces were breaking ranks and fleeing. It's working. Sam's excited voice came through her headset. The regular Vex troops can't handle the amplified resonance. But not everything was going well. Frank reported stiff resistance from a group led by a Vex commander with a neural dampener. Olivia had located 3 Nephilim ships approaching from the far side of the outpost. As the battle continued, Allison began to feel what Keith had warned about. A strange heat grew in her chest, a feeling of power and invincibility. Part of her wanted to move forward, to chase down the fleeing Vex soldiers, to see more fear in their eyes. "Allison?" Keith's concerned voice came through her headset. "Are you feeling the feedback effect?" She took a deep breath. "Yes, it's intense. Try to focus on protection, not aggression. It seems to change the nature of the battle resonance." Allison closed her eyes briefly and shifted her mental focus. Instead of thinking about defeating enemies, she concentrated on protecting the Confederation soldiers around her. The hot feeling in her chest changed, becoming less of a burning desire for victory and more of a warm determination to keep others safe. Interestingly, the Vex soldiers reacted differently too. Rather than panicking and fleeing, they simply backed away, maintaining more control while still unable to advance. "Something's changing," she reported. "When I focus on protection instead of aggression, the effect is different, more controlled." "The same is happening here," Olivia responded. "It's like they're still afraid but not panicking." "That's it," Keith exclaimed. "The battle resonance isn't just one thing. It changes based on our intent." The tide of battle shifted. The Confederation forces pushed forward, reclaiming sections of the outpost. But then a new threat emerged. 3 figures in sleek black armor appeared at the main entrance. Nephilim commanders. Unlike the Vex, they moved with confidence, unaffected by the human's psychic field. Their weapons were more advanced, cutting down several Confederation soldiers with each blast. "The Nephilim are immune to battle resonance," Peltor's voice warned over the communication channel. "Fall back to defensive positions." Allison watched the Nephilim advance. They were tall and thin, with faces hidden behind smooth helmets. Everything about them radiated cold efficiency. A plan formed in Allison's mind. "Keith, you said the resonance changes based on our intent, right?" "Yes, different emotional states produce different effects." "What about unity? Cooperation? What if all 5 of us focused our amplifiers together, with a shared intent?" There was a pause. "It might create a combined field. But the Nephilim are still immune, maybe to fear," Allison interrupted. "But what about other emotions? Frank, Olivia, Sam, rendezvous at my position. We're going to try something new." Minutes later, the team reassembled near the main entrance. The Nephilim had pushed deep into the outpost, with Confederation forces retreating before them. "Here's the plan," Allison explained quickly. "We combine our amplifiers, but instead of focusing on combat or fear, we concentrate on unity, on protecting each other and our allies." "Worth a shot," Frank agreed. They formed a circle, adjusting their amplifiers to the same frequency. Allison closed her eyes, focusing on the bond she felt with her team, her determination to protect them, and the shared purpose that united them with the Confederation forces. The others did the same. Allison felt something new, a resonance between them, building and expanding outward. It was nothing like the hot battle rage from before. This was cooler, calmer, but no less powerful. The Confederation soldiers around them straightened, their movements becoming more coordinated. Even Terlak, who had kept her distance before, moved closer, no longer uncomfortable in Allison's presence. Together, they advanced toward the Nephilim. The enemy commanders noticed the change immediately. Though not affected by fear, they seemed confused by the unified front approaching them. Their precise tactics faltered in the face of the newly coordinated Confederation forces. One Nephilim commander fired at Allison. Frank moved without hesitation, pushing her aside and taking a glancing hit on his shoulder. The shared resonance between the humans spiked at this protective act. Suddenly, General Urukal appeared behind the Nephilim commanders. "Enough," he shouted. "I see now what has happened. You have used us as your pawns." He aimed his weapon not at the humans but at the Nephilim commander. Chaos erupted as Vex soldiers loyal to Urukal turned against the Nephilim. In the confusion, the Confederation forces pressed their advantage. Within hours, the battle was over. The remaining Nephilim retreated to their ships and fled the system. Days later, Allison and her team stood before a special session of the Confederation Council aboard the flagship. Admiral Peltor addressed the assembled representatives. "What we witnessed challenges centuries of protocol," he said. "Humans demonstrated not only the battle resonance we feared, but the ability to transform it into something different, a field that promotes unity rather than terror." A tall, elderly alien rose from the council table. "Article 7 was created with wisdom, but perhaps with incomplete understanding. I propose an amendment." The amendment, passed after hours of debate, maintained restrictions on human military service beyond their system but established a new human intervention corps, a small, specially trained force that could be deployed in extreme circumstances, with strict ethical guidelines. As the council session ended, Keith approached Allison with a smile. "You changed everything by understanding what the battle resonance really is, not just a weapon, but a tool that reflects our intentions." Allison looked around at her team, at Frank, Olivia, and Sam. "We're not excluded because we're weak or even because we're frightening," she said. "We're excluded because we're powerful in ways we never understood." "Until now," Frank added. Allison nodded. "Until now."